Hello and welcome to Wyrm's Lament 2. This will be our last mechanic before Enrage. So let's get this knocked out, shall we? Again, I'm going to be using this pickup guide at the beginning because it gives a nice clear overview of what's going on without all the extra effects of the actual fight. And you can clearly see when things need to happen. So Wyrm's Lament 2's cast will go out. We'll get debuffs just like before. Both tanks and 2 random DPS will get red. Both healers and the other 2 DPS will get blue. The heads will spawn in north and south, and they can either go clockwise or counterclockwise. This example, they're going counterclockwise. We'll share the 5 Akmorns in our Akmorn groups, and as soon as those go out, tanks will go pop their heads around east and west. As soon as you see that AoE, healers, you can go cleanse your puddles. The MT popped his head and then went north of Shiva to invuln the first Mornifa. After which, you go back to your Akmorn groups, and here they show the example of both DPS in the respective Akmorn groups having the same color. This is a thing we'll have to recognize during the 5 Akmorns and call out a swap if need be. So here they show the swap happening before the next set of Akmorns go out, just to make sure we have red and blue on each side. 6 Akmorns go out, and then the red DPS will go pop their heads. The off tank, who started as the off tank, will have provoked during the first Mornifa and is now the main tank, so he'll take the second one, again north of Shiva, invulning it. As soon as the red DPS pop their heads, blue DPS cleanse puddles, Mornifa happens, back to Akmorn groups for the 7 Akmorns, and then onto the butt for the Mornifa. And that is the whole mechanic. It looks pretty simple, but things can get kind of hectic and out of control if we don't know what exactly we're doing. So here's just a nice clean example of a Wyrm's Lament 2 gone correctly. So let's see. Wyrm's Lament 2 goes out. Todd's checking the red-blue debuffs, determines that they don't need a swap. 5 Akmorns, tanks go pop their heads. The healers go cleanse puddles. The first tank invulns right there. Back to Akmorn groups. 6 Akmorns. And then red DPS pop heads. Blue DPS cleanse puddles. The second Mornifa tank goes out there, invulns. He struggles with the blue puddle a little bit, but it's fine. 7 Akmorns. And then to the butt to share the last Mornifa. So now we'll look at some examples of things gone wrong. This first one is the tanks failing to properly provoke and shirk during the first Mornifa, which is a struggle that we had last week. So here the Gunbreaker is starting as the main tank. So again, we'll have the Akmorns go out. And then tanks will go pop heads. The Gunbreaker will Super Bolide the first Mornifa. But you see here that the Paladin failed to provoke during the cast, and so the Gunbreaker still has aggro. And because of this will mess up this Akmorn, because while the Paladin is still second, you'll see like an enemy swap right around when the end of the cast bar is, and that'll, I think it snapshots Paladin as second for the first Akmorn, but then when the second Akmorn checks, he's now first, which will swap the Akmorn colors and kill everyone. So here, the blue Akmorn went on the west group, but now the Paladin is first, so now it'll swap. Blue Akmorn went on the east group, and that kills everyone, which is why it's very Very, very critical to make sure to get that provoked shirk correctly. So here's an example of A, doing the provoked shirk correctly, and B, what happens when a person dies to like the Akrai ice mirrors that happened right before this. So here, Xeno starting as the main tank, Dancer died to probably sliding off the edge and gets rezzed, but not in time for the Wyrm Lament cast. Because of this, the Dragoon gets both a red and a blue debuff, which is totally workable, but the other blue guy has to see this and recognize that he has to go to whichever head this monk pops, since the Dragoon is just going to cleanse on his own head. So good, Akmorns go out. He'll go pop his head, pop Living Dead. Here you see the Gunbreaker is already provoked, which is good. It takes it north of Shiva, and there's the Shirk, which will ensure that no random tank swaps happen during the subsequent Akmorns. And 6 Akmorns. And so this, after this is where the DPS have to adjust because of their messed up start. But so the Dragon goes to pop the east head, the Monk is going to go out to pop the west head. This is where the Summoner has to be like, okay, I need to go cleanse on west. But he's in the east group with the Dragoon and doesn't recognize this. So after the Dragoon pops the east head, they both go out and try to cleanse on this east puddle. And somehow the Summoner manages to get the cleanse. The Dragoon can still live if you recognize that he didn't cleanse and can just go to that west puddle and cleanse, but he doesn't. Kind of just like chills in the middle, assumes he's fine. Then recognizes he still has the blue debuff, tries to go cleanse, but the timer runs out and he dies on the puddle. And so this is still doable, 7. Obviously the group with 3 is going to take a lot more damage. Healers will have to keep that in mind if we have a person down. But they managed to get through the 7 Akmorns and the Mornifah with 7 people, as shown. And in our final example, this is what happens when you don't stand inside Shiva's hitbox during the head pops. So the Astro will kill himself because he was standing outside. And 5 Akmorns. And then I don't like what this Paladin does. So he was the main tank. He goes to pop his head, Hallowed Grounds, but he takes the Mornifah out in the middle of nowhere. And that kind of makes it spooky for whichever healer has to cleanse there. So you see right there, the puddle's there, Paladin's here, and he almost gets clipped by that Mornifah. It's just better to just gap close, take it north. You're far enough away from the rest of the group, it's fine, and this healer doesn't have to freak out about dying to either the timer of his blue running out or getting clipped by a Mornifah. So you see both healers have managed to cleanse their blue, so it's not like the Astro's going to die from the debuff timeout. But after these 6 Akmorns, let's see, red DPS pop heads, blue cleanse, but you'll see here with the west red head pop, the Astro died because they were too far out. It should just be standing within the hitbox after the Akmorns, just to make sure this doesn't happen. And the tank recognizes this, knows that the 7 Akmorns are going to be pretty awful, so he tank LBs, which is good, saves it, saves the run. And the Astro gets rezzed onto the east side, probably by the white mage, but doesn't go back to his group because that would just kill him again. So good on him for recognizing that. And then they share the last Mornifah. that's that. So yeah, that's Wyrm Cement 2. That's pretty much the rest of E8S. After this, I'll do a double Hollow Wings cast facing south. So we'll just get behind her and hopefully kill her before the mirrors around us copy that cast and kill us all. So let's hope this weekend goes well. Yep, and that'll be it for me. So with that, good night and sweet dreams, Static One.